like.
But you know, the most important it's the content. It's not like.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Just to get started,
really,
get the ball rolling.
Thank you to be part of that, and I really enjoy to see you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Is audio and everything good? That works?
Yeah, it's good. You get the AirPods, the plan is good, everything is good.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Okay, for Danny it's good too. For me, it's rolling right now.
Bon, ça enregistre ou pas, frérot?
Ouais, I'm gonna let Danny do it. It's rolling, and it's just I let Danny do it now.
Okay. Welcome on the Danny Hell's Kitchen show. And today, I would say I have a very fantastic guest, an athlete, a sportsman with no fear, I would say, because he does some dangerous shit. I'm very impressed about what he's doing. He's a kayakist, he's a big champion, and he's not only that, he's a friend and a brother who gave me also a lot of support, during my time in prison, who sent me love also and support. So I would like to welcome you, Adrian Mattern. We will put all your details also online, down the video. So thank you very much to join me, Adrian. I would like to say, first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself. Who are you? Where you come from? Simple stuff for the time being, and then we go through the conversation, brother.
Sounds good, brother. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Danny. My pleasure to be on your podcast, to see this program grow and become something. Very happy to be part of it. About myself, I'm Adrian Mattern. I'm 20 years old. I'm originally from Heidelberg, Germany, and I'm a professional whitewater kayaker. I assume not everybody who's listening to this podcast might know what that exactly means. Basically, it means I love kayaking. I love being on the river, chasing waterfalls, going to places nobody has ever gone before, and for drop waterfalls in my kayak, challenge myself in that kind of regard. I've been doing this basically all of my life now, and the last 10 years have been professional, means full time. For sure, it wasn't like a straight away and an easy way. Whitewater kayaking is not like soccer. It's not gonna be something you're going to make big money straight away or at all. So it's definitely something you do it for the love, which I think is a great thing. So I've been working everything and in between in order to fulfill my dream. And then over the years, things have gotten better and I could spend more time on the river doing more and better projects. And now luckily for the last, let's say 6 years, I've been in a position where I could fully focus on my sport and to do what I love and push it as far as possible. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Right now, you find me in Zambia on my training camp, preparing for my next project in January, where I'm going to go to Gabon and going to drop into the jungle, going to do some crazy shit over there. So yeah, basically, I'm traveling with the seasons from river to river. Wherever there's best whitewater, chances are high you will find me.
Fantastic. So, Adrian, you are Austrian, isn't it? So you speak German?
Yeah, I'm German, but I'm living in Austria these days just because it's better for my sport.
Okay, you're German and you live in Austria. And also we have to notice that Adrian is sponsored by RedBull. So he's a big champion, isn't it?
Exactly, so, I guess where life takes
tell me. Yeah. So Adrian, I would like to know, so you said you started kayaking at the age of 19 or something like that, around 20, isn't it?
I started already very young, actually. It's a pretty funny story. Basically, I've always been like kind of close to the water. My father enjoyed being close to the water, not in a kayak, but go on the weekends, go to the river, go to the lake, just spend time there in the canoe, or just be close to the water. And then I would say it's kind of, I think my father had something like a midlife crisis. He divorced my mother. He bought a really fast motorcycle. He moved to the city center from the outside, and he picked up an action sport, which happened to be whitewater kayaking. And me, I was like 8 years back then and kind of just tagged along for the trip, got into the kayaking myself. I have to say it wasn't a sport I immediately fell in love with. It took some time because it's cold, it's scary, it's a new element, not something as an 8-9-year-old you're looking too much forward to do, especially when all your friends are just out playing soccer, this and that. But eventually I grew into this and I fell in love with the sport. And then by the time I was maybe 13, 14, I was doing my first competitions and had this like dream of, hey, maybe one day I can be professional, but it was really only a dream. And then, by the time I was 18, I kind of made my decision, like, okay, I don't want to go to university. I don't want to do this like 9 to 5. This is not who I am. I want to at least give it a try and see if I can make it, yes or no. Back then, for me, it would also be okay if I fail and then I go back, do the job, okay, whatever. At least I've tried. So I kind of made my decision that time. And then since basically 18, I just made kayaking my number one priority and everything came in second after.
So you bought your first kayak at what age? Like when you were 13 or from 18 you start to buy your kayak? What is this type of kayak? Because we see the ones, on the beach, on the river, the simple ones, those yellow ones. So yours is a professional one. It's made out of carbon, it's made out of plastic. What is this little boat exactly? Explain how it works and how it's made from.
Yeah, so basically the kayaks I'm using, they're made with the sole purpose to enable me as a person to go down these crazy rivers and waterfalls, which of course is a totally different designs than the one you would see on the beach or by some touristic places. Basically, It means my kayak is made out of polyethylene plastic, a strong plastic, around 20 kilograms, usually, let's say 2.50 to 2.70 around that length. And it's designed at the bottom, similar like a surfboard, you could say. So it's designed to interact with the water and the current. I have edges in my kayak, so I can carve like a ski or like a snowboard or something like that. And obviously it's always progressing, like a kayak from 10, 20 years ago is going to look totally different than what it is now, just because the sport is growing, the athletes are growing, styles and techniques are adapting, as it's happening in so many other extreme sports. And funny enough, I have been part of this development the last, let's say, 7 years myself, just like testing kayaks, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, especially when I'm somebody who wants to push the sport and wants to go as hard as possible. I am also the person who is kind of finding out what we need these kayaks to be able to do. And first and foremost, they need to be really strong. They need to withstand big impacts, waterfall 20, 30, 40 meters. They need to be able to withstand those forces. At the same time, they need to be fast and reactive and responsive on the water. Sometimes you are in rivers which are so big, you're talking about, 14,000 tons of water per second, big rivers. And you got to move there. And you just got to figure out where to go, what to do. So that's the type of kayaks I'm using.
But first of all, brother, because, I ask myself always these questions, the position in the kayak, because it's quite tiny like this. Are you kneeling? Are you putting your legs straight into the kayak? What is your position in it, brother?
Yeah, it's barely straight, bro. It's like my feet are pointing forward. So I have my contact point is my ass, is my hips, and is both of my feet, and is my knees. These are my connection points to the kayak, where I'm transferring the weight and what my body is doing, that transfers to the boat. It's really important to sit tight in your kayak so that the slightest moves from your body also get translated into your kayak and you're able to actually go where you want to go.
That's fantastic, man. And I never asked you that question, but you did some competitions, I guess. What is your rank in this sport, brother? You have a rank. There is Olympics. You're getting ready for the Olympics because it's coming soon in Paris. Maybe I see you there, bro, in France.
I was doing that actually. When I was younger, I was in competition. I was in kayak freestyle. Again, a bit of a different discipline where you do tricks in these kayaks. And then actually I went to World Championships back in 2013, and that was really fun. But I have to be honest with you, there I was 6 weeks in the United States, and then every day we had training, but maybe just an hour and a half per nation. You had your time slots on the water, and then you're like, by the time you have seniors, juniors, women, C1, you had not much time for me in my kayak. And I have to tell you, it wasn't necessarily what I liked. I really wanted to spend more time with the water, and I wanted to push myself. And actually then I kind of like stole away from training and I went kayaking on this hard river just myself. And immediately I realized, hey, like this is what I like to do. I don't like this competition circuit. I need to be able, I always describe this like I found out basically that me as a person and how I work, I function better outside of these rules in a competition where it's like, hey, you have this many seconds to perform. You need these and these angles in your tricks in order to count. I don't perform that well under this competition. I just had to find out and realize myself. But where I work really well is when it's me against myself. When I'm out there, I'm the person who's going to set the limits. I'm the one who's going to tell myself, hey, I can do this or I cannot do this. And then it's all about raising the limit. And that's where my personality just functions way better. And I realized that trip, I finished World Championships. It was like, it wasn't super great. It wasn't super bad either. I was somewhere in like 21st, 22nd place.
Which is good.
But that was whatever. Yeah, it was fine. But I, on this trip, decided, hey, I'm going to finish my competition and I want to focus on the limits. I just like to push myself in that regard. And ever since, I really could step my game up and found my place in the kayaking.
Yeah, because I'm watching your videos, man. It's an extreme sport, I have to say, you know, when you're on this waterfalls and, you know, and there's like, all this tourbillon, I don't know how do we say tourbillon in the water, all these waves and tourbillon, and then you turn around like this. I never understood, because sometimes you say, yeah, you turn like this, you're upside down, you know, how can you get back, back your head outside the water? This is a technique to do that, brother, you know, this balance? Because you need a lot of balance also, I guess, no?
Yeah, bro, I'm always joking. I always tell people it's like salsa. I mean, probably it's not, but
salsa.
Yeah, it's like, it's a dance with the water, you know, you gotta interact. Obviously, my point is you can never go against the river. He's always stronger than you. The river is always boss. You have to respect that. And you just have to use the water. You have to read the water, see what the current is doing, what's there, and then you have to use that in order to make a safe line down. And as you say, you can do this roll like an Eskimo roll, or you do it in the air like a kickflip, and there's all these different tricks you can then develop. But that's just the progress of kayaking. Obviously, you start off very chill and then work your way into that. But this is what I like to do at the moment, is like doing the extreme kayaking, doing the big waterfalls. But I also want to, do something new, find some new ways in the sport. And one of the versions for me is to start implementing, doing the tricks whilst you're going down the waterfall. This is something which is very new at the moment and very interesting to me.
Yeah, but when you say have to read the water, you get a preparation, like the power, before you get into the water, you study the track, you study the force, the power of the water, the weather. Is that like something that you have to prepare in advance? I have to say, brother.
Yes, bro, exactly. You say it. It's pretty crazy, actually. Like maybe you will see a 10-second video on Instagram of me doing something crazy, but very often it involves months or even years of preparation, because as you just said, there's very many reasons why it's not a good time to run a waterfall. Everything needs to be perfect in order to do this as safe as possible. So as you say, I'm checking weather forecasts. Is there a storm coming in? Is the snow melting? Is the glacier melting? Is there like another reason why there's water, dam releases, whatever? I need to determine, hey, okay, how much water does this waterfall need? Little, lot. So there's so many factors which come into it, and I need to prepare so much in order to then do it.
Brother, I understand you, because, when I was young, back in North Africa, in Algeria, because I come from the mountain, and we have those falls, we call them wed, those rivers, we call them wed, maybe Yes. And sometimes it's very flat. There is nothing. But when something happens up there in the mountain, like as you said, the ice melt, or there is some rain on the mountain, from a second to another second, and it start to come some waves of it, man. It's really, really dangerous, really dangerous. So, and it comes with rocks, it comes with trees, So you have to wait that it calms down. First of all, if there is like a rain up there, and in the mountain, for example, or above the river, so you have to wait that it calms down, or you just go in, bro.
It depends, bro. Every single waterfall has a different need for it. As you just said, sometimes you saw it yourself. It can go so quick, and you have such a short time window. Yeah. And then obviously preparations need to be done. You need to set safety. You need to set media. It takes its time. So sometimes it means I need to go when there's as much water as possible. Sometimes I need like a middle level. Sometimes it needs to be low. It really depends on the location. But as a general rule, rain is always good. In kayaking, we say rain is liquid sunshine. And cool. you just gotta plan it out. And again, like I cannot stress how much preparation it is. There's countless hours of me studying Google Maps, just looking at the river, checking satellite images and putting a pin. Hey, maybe there's something, going into research, looking on the internet, asking friends. And then when we were talking some months ago and you were sending me pictures from Algeria waterfalls, this is all part of the preparation, and it's always in my head. I'm always thinking, making ideas and projects and developing things, because it's so much preparation. Because of course you can just go and do it, but then for me it's uncalculated risk. You not necessarily know what you're doing and what you're playing with, and I don't want to take unnecessary risks.
And sorry, brother, because you do your preparation, you check the maps, you check the weather, the satellites photos. But when you decide to go into the water, to jump into the water, from what position you will jump? Like really, really high? How many kilometers you will do till you get down the river? And maybe you have to jump waterfalls or so. I've seen you doing some shit like that, and I was quite impressed. So. So because you understand the river, I guess, you've grown up like this, you understand the river, so you know what type of point you start from the water where is very calm, then it gets like more, more moving and more dangerous. How does it start like this? What position you get to jump in the water? I would say, if you understand my English, because it's quite fucked up.
Nah, I got it, bro. I got it. No, it all depends. Let's say we want to do a waterfall, which is like a quite picturesque example. There's many different positions. Often waterfalls are tourist attractions. So if you get lucky, there's even a track somewhere you can go straight to it, and you don't even have to do this. But at the same time, I've been doing expeditions, bro, where I've been walking my kayak and paddling for 10 days in order to get to this one place I want to do. So it really depends on where you are and what you do. And that also, again, comes into the risk management. If I'm at the waterfall where there's a tourist place and I can park my car and within 15 minutes there can be some ambulance if something goes wrong, it's a different decision making than when I'm out there in the mountains of Kyrgyzstan, for example, when I know there's no helicopter.
I know. Hold on a second. Kyrgyzstan. Yes. This is from the army of Kyrgyzstan. I'm completely improvising. You know that that's my heart. I have a Kyrgyz heart, because I have family there. I used to live there, brother. So it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Lots of love for Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Bishkek is good. But when I go there, I don't do all these things. I do trekking in the mountain and I go shooting. You've been shooting there? It's very easy, man. There's guns everywhere.
Yeah,
you should. I like train with my son. And the food in Kyrgyzstan is amazing, because everything is organic there, man. I guess you really enjoy the food also there. The people are nice, they are beautiful. No, it's a really nice country. So, brother, right now, what is your life? Your life is traveling around, around the world, finding the best spots, and enjoying a dangerous, kind of dangerous life, I would say.
Yes, bro. So basically, this is what I'm doing. I'm always in between trips, looking where the best rivers are in the world, and then I want to go down to them with my kayak. Of course, lots of preparation needed. So I'm in the gym a lot. I'm working in Austria a lot, preparing for the trips, but I'm usually always moving around. For example, last month I was in Brazil doing an expedition there. Now I'm here in Zambia, kind of training and preparing for my next trip in January. I go to Gabon, move onward. So I'm always on the road, always running around. This is what I'm doing at the moment.
But how do you prepare your body? Because you talked to me about the technical aspect, which is all the preparation, the weather, the kayak itself, how it is. But as a body, as an athlete, how do you prepare yourself? Do you need cardio? Do you need good abs? Do you need big hands? Well, you're quite massive, I would say, brother.
Getting there. Thank you for getting there.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Good shape, bro. Good shape. I always told you that. But how do you prepare yourself physically first,
Yeah, so basically...
Which part of your body? Sorry, bro.
Yeah, the hardest thing on kayaking is your shoulders, is your back, and is your abs. These are the muscles you're using the most when you're using the kayak and interacting with the water. At the same time, it's a little bit different for me because, of course, I'm training to be fit, but I'm also training to withstand impacts, which is something weird, you know. At RedBull, we have the possibility to train in Athlete Performance Center, which is a high-performance training center for the athletes, which is a big help. And whenever I go there, I tell them, okay, guys, so I have this project coming up. Give me a training, and basically imagine I have to do 10 car crashes in 10 days. This is what it's going to be like. And of course, everybody looks at me like, what are you talking about? You know, but this is what it can be. If you fall down a waterfall 20 meters, it can be a big hit. So basically, I'm training to be as strong as possible, mostly my core, my shoulders, and my back. Then general fitness is also important because, as I just told you, bro, for example, Kyrgyzstan, you're with your kayak and your gear, you're moving every day, 10 days, 12, 14 hours, 16-hour days. So basically, my goal is to be as fit as possible.
Yeah, brother, I was worried, you know, because you work out the upper body. No, your upper body has to be strong. I hope you don't have the chicken legs.
No, brother, don't be worried.
You want the legs too.
We got the legs.
They're not skinny like that.
No. We're not built like these gym guys like this.
Yes, like the gym guys, because you know in jail, you know, it's a lot of guys, you know, they're massive, big body, you know, but the legs are like this. You know,
it is like that. I was wondering. So it's just big upper body in the general.
Yeah, because working out the legs is the hardest things, you know. The legs day is the hardest day, you know. So yes. So I guess you had you feared for your life sometimes when you are on a dangerous river somewhere around the world, and then you get hit by a rock on your head. Did it happen to you once? You know that you had like kind of accident like that?
Yeah, I had some closer calls. Unfortunately, I would say 2 situations were for me quite dangerous. One time in Austria, actually in the river I now call my home river, where I was kind of stuck underneath a rock. I got put underneath a rock and was squeezed underwater. It wasn't very nice or anything I could do. I was just lucky. And then also in an expedition in Kenya 2 years ago, I was running a waterfall where there was a tree underwater and you couldn't see, and I was going under, and then I was stuck under the tree underwater and I couldn't move anywhere. And again, I got kind of lucky and I could free myself, and luckily it was okay. But those were 2 accidents where it was pretty scary and dangerous for myself, but definitely I've been around accidents, and of course I have lost friends to the river, which is but you have a procedure, for example, you know, because you learn about that, you know, if you get stuck between a stone, you have a procedure, you have a special thing to get out of your kayak, something like this, or you don't have all this security, or you have your team that they are ready to jump to get you out of the water? Yes, bro, exactly. So basically kayaking is a team sport, even though you sit alone in your kayak, because you trust your life to the people you're with on the river, and the other way around, because these are the only guys who can save you if something goes wrong. That doesn't mean it's an insurance and you will always be fine, because in kayaking you do have that time limit. You know, you are underwater. It's not like you have half an hour to take somebody out. That is the danger. But that's like the biggest safety is your friends on the river. Saying that, it doesn't mean you're always safe, and things can go bad. And it's so many different reasons and situations which can go wrong. So there's not like one safety device to just save you. Actually, I believe what is really important in these situations is just to keep a cool head and analyze the situation and move accordingly and move quickly. And I also believe this is not necessarily something you can learn. You have it or you don't have it. I'm sure you have met people in your life as well. When the things you're doing, you were doing. You know, some people, they panic, they don't know how to do if shit gets sketchy, and other people they go into the work mode. They just move like a robot. They just get the shit done which needs to be done, and then everything after you can process. But you work or you don't work, and this is something I think you just find out.
Your adrenaline also help you also to get a clear mind, and to try to get you out of some situations. Yes, so yes, it is very, very dangerous. And all those waterfalls, you jump those waterfalls. I've seen you jumping some crazy stuff, man. And how many meters the highest you've jumped, for example?
Yes, the highest I jumped is 42 meters. That was in Mexico. Yes, that was big. That was in the time it was the vice world record and something I really wanted to do. But I would say the average like tall waterfall I've running is in between like 25, 35 meters is like a height I'm going a lot.
So yes, I understand now. You say you need some abs and some good back, because I guess you lean like this and you let your kayak like. How does it arrive in the water? Because the shock of jumping 40 meters or 30 meters, like, it's quite strong. Maybe maybe you can hit your face against your own kayak. Maybe, no?
Exactly, bro. All you were just saying is completely right. So basically, it is a big impact. For sure, it is not the same like if you were to jump off a bridge into calm water. The waterfall is putting air into the water and breaking the surface. So it is a lot softer.
Okay.
At the same time, you're still talking big heights. And basically, in my kayak, the taller the waterfall, the more I want to make sure it's very vertical and I land really straight with my body actually tucked forwards and really like tensed. And I'm ready for the impact. I put my paddle to the side and I put my head down and I just get ready for impact and I hit the water. But the crazy thing is, bro, sometimes you run a waterfall and it's 30 meters and it feels like you're going into a pillow. You have nothing, 0, 0, 0. And other times you run something maybe just 10 meters and it's giving you a big hit. You feel like you just got hit by a truck. So it's always I wouldn't say random, but there's so many factors to decide what the hit is going to do. It's kind of hard to foresee how it is exactly going to be.
And when you land, because you land is like a washing machine, just under the falls, it's like a washing machine. So does your kayak turn around like this? How can you get stable, I would say, how you can get out of this shit?
Yes, exactly. Also, that's true. Interesting enough,
I'm a kayak professional, brother.
Yes, bro. It's like that. You gotta change your podcast to Danny Kayak Podcast Show. Yeah, but you're right. You're right. Like, it's definitely a danger that the water goes down and then comes back up and creates these washing machines, as you say, and you can get stuck in them, which is a bad thing to happen. But if the waterfalls create a certain height, that doesn't happen anymore because there's so much force hitting the water. It's going so deep and then spreading out even that you just go out in many of the cases. And when the drops are a bit smaller, then you have this danger, and then it's all about jumping and landing flat and getting away from this washing machine to get out safe.
I understand. I guess I don't know if you have a girlfriend. Maybe she's very worried when you go on a tour for kayaking, on expedition. I guess your mother, they get scared. Maybe they tell you, oh, you should relax, don't do that. You have a girlfriend?
No, bro. This is when I told you earlier. Like kayaking was my number one thing. Is my number one thing. As much
family life is difficult.
Exactly. As much freedom as the sport gives me, of course, it takes some freedom in other places. It's just something you can't have it all. For me, I made this decision, and I'm happy.
I guess as a athlete, sportsman, and sportsmen like champions, girls and good-looking guy, I have to say, you have a girl in every port around the world. Now you're in Zambia, probably a Zambian woman. She ask you to marry her there.
Yeah, you want to be careful not to get trapped elsewhere, that's for sure.
Yeah, be careful, man.
I'm in the jungle so much, so if I was in the city, yes, maybe, but usually I go where nobody else is going, so it's not a problem I have too much in my life. But I'm happy. I do what I love, it's all what matters to me.
Yeah, I've been to the jungle too, brother, but back there in Peru, to go and check the laboratory of cocaine laboratory up there, on the donkey.
No way. Really? You were up there?
Yeah, I've done that, man, so many times, just to check, because my mission, my job, it was to check the products, products, make sure it's the right brand, test it, with all the equipment I have to test it, and make sure it arrives, till the destination, I would say, but it doesn't. Yes. It's not a straight travel to the destination, so he has to go through the different parts, and then it arrives to destination. But yes, I've been there. I've been to the jungle. I was on a donkey. I was on those little quads also. It's very dangerous, man. You know what? Some people that you don't even know, but they are very friendly. You know, like they look like those Indians from the, you know, those Aztecs, you know, they look, you know, from the mountain.
You would never
Peru.
think, and then they take you to this plantation. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not the plantation; it's the laboratory. Plantation. I don't even look at. I don't even see them, brother. You know, because they collect. You know, those farmers. They collect all the coca. You know, and they bring it to the traffickers. You know, and they transform it into cocaine. You know. So
You know,
it's a small laboratories, you know. It's not big stuff like back in the days, you know, because nowadays the cocaine trafficking, you know, is like small groups, you know, like they like this. They are low key, they are, you know, and they can set up a laboratory. They don't have on that back. It's a different type of work nowadays. And those Colombians, you know, they don't produce that much anymore in Colombia. They go to Peru to produce it because the corruption is higher than Colombia, and you have less problems with you know, the Americans, the French, or the DEA, and all these problems that they can have on their back. So yes, brother. So traveling around the world, you know, being fit, doing something that you love, still young also. So that's the life. That's your life you always wanted, I guess, man. So you want to settle. Is that what is your plan? I would say for the next, for the next 5 years, still kayaking, or you have something, that you want to do after kayaking?
yes, bro. So first of all, this is, I mean, it's pretty sad and it's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm sure you know the same feeling. Like the human mind gets used to everything, you know. As you just said, I'm living my dream life right now. If you ask 12-year-old Adrian if he would know what 20-year-old Adrian is able to do nowadays, it would be honestly, literally the best case scenario would be this is what I'm doing right now. And I'm really trying to remind myself of this because I want to stay humble. I don't want to take things for granted. Things move fast, so I want to be happy. But at the same time, you know, I wake up and for me, it's another day at work, kind of. I'm not waking up jumping like, woohoo, I'm living my dream. Of course not, you know, it's as with everything. But I'm trying to remind myself, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job of it. At the same time, I'm aware everything is moving fast. In Germany, we say alles ist nur Schall und Rauch. Everything is just smoke and thunder. It's going to disappear like this, you know? Yeah, so I'm making plans. I'm making plans for the future because I'm pretty scared, or I don't want to end up one day waking up and not having my sponsor deals anymore and being like a washed up ex-professional guy who's going to sit in the bar and tell the person next to him, hey, I used to be this badass guy, now I'm here. I don't want to be that person. So I'm making plans. I'm always thinking, trying to find synergies. You know, I'm traveling so much, meeting so many people, so I always have ideas what to do, where it's going to go. If it's tourism here, if it's affiliate marketing there, if it's public speaking over there. I'm always trying to keep my mind open.
But you know, we're gonna come to the sponsoring. You know, so you've been doing kayak. How did the sponsors, you know, how do sponsors detected you? Because you have a big sponsor, which is RedBull. They sponsor all the biggest champions and extreme sport people. So how did they get in contact with you? Those RedBull, I would say.
Yes,
because you work for them also.
Yeah, they're my sponsor. No, they're my sponsor. I'm full-time kayaker. Okay. They're just my sponsor. But basically, it all started with like smaller deals within the sport when I was younger. But this is not meaning money. You know, you get like a free kayak, some free gear, which makes your life cheaper, but it doesn't change it.
Cool.
And then back in 2015, I won a competition back then hosted by Adidas. And that was the first time I ever saw any money because of kayaking. It was small money, bro, but you know, for my mind, it changed something.
Of course.
And then, I mean, as any aspiring extreme sport athlete will know, RedBull is kind of like the holy grail of sponsoring in that world of sports, especially for smaller sports. That's the only way how you can maintain a life that way when it comes to sponsoring. And I was fully aware of the fact that there's nobody in Germany working at RedBull who's looking at kayaking who could be the next talent. The sport for that is too unknown and it's too small. So actually, funny enough, it all started with me looking, because I was aware that if I type an email to info@redbull.com selling, hey, I'm Adrian, I like kayaking, I'm pretty good, please check me out, they get these emails every day. That's not going to change the world. So I was actually going on LinkedIn, you know LinkedIn, huh? Like this job thingy, looking around for who's working at RedBull, who's the athlete manager. I found some people and I just sent these guys directly a text and I was like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. I just want one meeting. I just want one meeting, and then we talk and we see. And then, weeks of no answer. And then after maybe a month, this current athlete manager texted me, "Hey, I got your email. Sounds interesting. You want to come for lunch?" And I drove there 6 hours, used my last 60 euros I had in my bank account to go to Munich and meet these guys for lunch, just to make this first contact. And then many years of nothing and just talking later, they finally presented me a deal. But basically, I had to make the first step, the initial contact, because I just knew they're not looking at kayaking. Which again comes back to I'm always trying to keep an open mind, always to try to think outside of the box and trying to solve things differently, because you have to do it that way. If you're in a small sport, you have to do it, otherwise it's not going to work out.
Yeah, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send you some Danny Hell's Kitchen stickers, and you're gonna stick them on your kayak.
Send me some
we sponsor you
all over the world. Let's do it.
Yeah, fantastic, man.
Some food, some good lunches, huh?
Yeah, some good lunches. And we're going to send you, when everything is ready, like a kit, like a Danny Hell's Kitchen kit with some stuff in it, you're going to be happy. But listen, brother, because everybody asks these questions, of course, but, Red Bull is huge. It's probably a multi-billion dollar company. But how much they pay and how they pay champions like you on the, sorry, on the trip, you have like wages, or they tell you, you have to do to set up records, for example, So how does it work exactly? Maybe you can give us some figures.
Yes, figures would be too tricky to go. I think I'm gonna get a call if I drop that. But basically, we're talking like a full-time job. You're working somewhere around there. It's not soccer money. It's definitely not. But it's enough to enable me to fully focus on my sport. And the way it works is basically I have my base salary, but then I also have my bonus. And for example, I'm like a project-based athlete, which means I have to do projects, which is expeditions, which is video projects, which is, certain things in order to then by the end of the year talk about the bonus. Hey, how did that year go? What did you do? And that's actually a very interesting process and not that easy. Having this like sport and the kayaking, putting that into numbers, into black and white numbers, is a very tricky task also for me, because what is a project, what is not a project, how are we going to find the numbers? So basically it's divided between base salary, which kind of sets me up for the year, and then the bonus at the end of the year, which is depending on how bad my taxes are, very needed. We spoke about this summer, like sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's less bad. It just kind of goes with the flow, but that's how it's working with Red Bull.
And how more or less, how many projects a year, how many expeditions you do a year? Because I guess, the expeditions, you prepare them months and months in advance. So you say, for example, with your team, you say, okay, this year, 2023, for example, we're going to go to those different places. So more or less how many expedition you will have per year, or it's just sometimes, 2-3 months in advance, you say, okay, I found a spot, it's a new spot, let's prepare it. Or it is more like that?
Again, a mix of everything, bro. For example, this project I'm going to do in January in Gabon has been in the work since 2020. So we're going to talk about 4 years of preparation by the time I'm there, which is a lot of preparation, but that's also because of the style of the project. Things we need to solve, they just take time. On the other hand, sometimes I need to be super spontaneous, For example, this October, I went for an expedition in Brazil, and I didn't know I was going to Brazil until literally a week before. Because there I got some really good leads and some good calls, and I made some good contacts, and was like, okay, there's a chance. Let's use it and just go. So it's a mix of everything. I would say on average, it takes about 4 to 5 months for a project to prepare. But with exceptions, as always, you have your countries where it's going to be guaranteed good kayaking. Norway being one of those places, you can always go to Norway in summer. You will have a great time. I don't need to prepare for that, but yeah.
And how many of you when you travel? Are you 2-3 people? I guess you have a lot of equipment. You put it in the plane. So you have your coach with you. How many people in your team, I would say?
Yeah, usually I would say we're traveling around 4 to 6 people, somewhere around there. Seems to be a pretty good number. Also with logistics, as you say, if you rock up with 20 people trying to check in kayaks in the airport, that's not going to work out.
Yeah,
it's nice to have just 1 or 2 cars to be on the road. Also, some places it's not good to be so easy to recognize. You can imagine white people with plastic, colorful kayaks on the back of a pickup truck. Might not be that nice if you're driving around somewhere in, I don't know, Somalia, it's not going to go well. So you got to be a little bit careful and think about it. In general, 4 to 6 people is a good number. You can move quick on the river. You can move efficient on land. You have enough people for safety and media. At the same time, it's not a shit show yet of trying to organize everybody.
You take your doctor with you, or you are like a physio or a doctor, someone who looks after your health, or you take it, there in the country?
Depends on the trip, bro. Sometimes I have somebody who's a doctor who's coming with me. Sometimes it's not possible, depending on which places I go. They obviously can't just join directly. If it's a crazy trip far away from Norway, they can't come. But everybody in my crew is pretty fit on first aid, because we need to basically be able to trust and depend on ourselves 100%. So everybody knows how to get each other out in a shit situation. And when you're in country, you have contact to local emergency places, maybe ambulances, the hospitals, maybe there is a military hospital. So there's always these contacts, and that's also part of the preparation, like for example, now in Gabon, I have numbers of helicopter people who can maybe get my ass out of there if something goes wrong. And I really hope I don't need to use this contact, but I need to make this in my preparation, because when shit goes down, these might be the only people who can save me. So as always, preparation is key on these type of things.
Yeah, it's like in Kyrgyzstan, man. Kyrgyzstan is the middle of nowhere. It's a little country, but if you find yourself in some situation, like life or death situation, you need some really good backup, some really good logistics to take you to the nearest hospital, which is very far.
Exactly, bro. Yeah, that was actually a crazy situation.
Yeah, tell me about Kyrgyzstan, man, because I love this country, man. I have my family there, man.
Yeah, I really love this place, and there's this one river. It's very famous in the kayaking river community. It's called the Sarijas, and it's going from Kyrgyzstan, and it's going all the way into China. It's a long way. Yes, it's a long way. It's in this kind of military zone, kind of like special zone at the border of Kyrgyzstan, and it's a very legendary river. And I really always wanted to do it, and I had the chance 2 years ago to go with a crew. But the problem on this river is you paddle for maybe 200 kilometers in, the place, in the crazy mountains, the middle of nowhere. You go, and then the river is crossing into China. Obviously, you can't cross into China. That border is going to give you big problems. We're going to go to jail in China. All the people who help you in Kyrgyzstan with the logistics, they're going to get looked after by the authorities, because they basically helped you to illegally cross the border. So the only way to get out of there is actually just before on GPS it shows the border. You have to take your kayak and then hike for 5 days over the mountain ranges, over 4,400 meters. You have to hike back to the beginning point. And it was an amazing journey, some of the hardest days of my entire life, but also the most breathtaking place of my life, and a really, really full-on thing there. I didn't know much about the country before I came, I have to say, but the culture really blew me away. Having the local people still, I never seen people ride horses so magnificently. This is next level. I felt like a coward seeing like an 8-year-old kid moving the horse so smooth, They're really good there. I was just blown away.
Yeah, the Mongols, Yeah,
Is it big? Is it plof? Is the food?
Plof is good, of course.
Plof,
right? Plof, I can cook it also. Plof, yes, the plof. Many different dishes. Yeah, plof, definitely. It's nice plof, the rice, how they do it. I have some nice videos. Cooking rice in the mountain with the, because the origins of the Kyrgyz, you have different origins. You have the Mongols, and how do you recognize the kids that they come from the Mongols, from that they are the descendants of Genghis Khan? They're born with a little stain, little stain on their ass. It's a blue stain on their ass. When they babies, like kids that they were born with the blue mark on their cheekbone, they are the descendants of Genghis Khan, So also Kyrgyzstan was like Australia. The Russians, the communists, they used to send the prisoners, like the Gulag.
Really?
Yeah. And you have lots of people originally from Korea. You have the people that the original, there's German, and there's also the Germans. They took them from Germany in the First World War, and they brought them to Kyrgyzstan as a prisoners. There's the Germans. Yeah, that's why Kyrgyzstan has a good diplomatic relation with Germany. And there is a community of Kyrgyz in Germany, a big community of Kyrgyz in Germany also. So you have the Korean, you have the German, you have the Russian Siberian from Yakutia, you have all these people, Uzbek, Turkmen, and it's that it's a dangerous country, Kyrgyzstan, brother. They kill for nothing.
It's a transport also, huh? It's a good transit place.
Yeah, it's a transit place for the heroin, it's like the crossroad for the heroin, the dispatch comes from Afghanistan, cross from Turkmenistan or Uzbekistan, and from Kyrgyzstan, it dispatched everywhere, to Iran, to Russia, till Europe for some people. And but it's nice, man. It's nice. Those people are crazy. Those people have a good heart. The food is amazing. And I would like to say, what did I want to say? Yes. So voila, you travel all you set up your life like this every year. You're happy with your life. What did I want to say? Yes. Yes. So you've been traveling. Now you are in Zimbabwe. You prepare. What are you preparing in Zimbabwe exactly now?
Yeah, so basically here in Zimbabwe and Zambia corner is the Zambezi River.
You're in Zambia, not in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, but
Zambia.
It's just next door. It's like 2 kilometers from here.
Yeah.
Here I have the Zambezi River, which is world-class kayaking. And the big difference to many other places is here the river is running every day. There's already a good logistical system. So I really have no work in order to go to the river. I get picked up in the morning. I drive to the river, I go kayak, I come back, I go to the gym. So here I can really spend time on the river, focus on my kayaking, focus on my training, and not have to deal with logistical stuff. And now in Europe, it's cold, it's snowing. I see we have 1 meter of snow in Germany last night or something crazy like this. Man. Yes, there's not much training or kayaking happening for me right now. So I always use Zambia as kind of my boot camp. Here I go super, super hard, full focus. And actually also, it's fun enough, it's the place where I probably have the most routine in my entire year, because here I always stay 1 month. I sleep in the same bed, I go to the same river, and I quite enjoy this also for my mental state, just to be in one place for mine. It's good for me. So this is what I'm doing here.
You know what I watched once? I watched a documentary by Arte. It's a German channel, I think, Arte. I watched a documentary of Arte by this kayak team. They did a expedition in Papouasie Nouvelle Guinea. In the Pacifics. I think we said Papouasie. And there was, I don't know if you do that, they bring everything, their tents with them, they cross the river, all with kayaks, but they have their tents, they have the equipment, they have the satellite phones. Do you bring all your tent and all your food and everything with you on the kayaks, with your team?
Exactly, the expedition in Kyrgyzstan, you're fully self-dependent for 10 days, which means you bring your sleeping stuff, your food. Everything needs to go into your little kayak, so you have to pack very efficient and very light, and you take everything you need in order to make this journey on your own.
Yeah, but the food, is that the military little military packs? Yes, is that
actually fantastic? It depends. Like I do it like this nowadays, but depending where you are, just take some dry rice, dry beans. Fun enough, if you go to Russia, they always take mayonnaise. These people love mayonnaise and vodka. That's what they take.
They love vodka and mayonnaise. That's true. And
I take military food. It's good.
Yeah, and yes, you do that. But do you also fish? Because I guess the river is full of fish. Do you fishing? You go hunting, guys? To get some protein like that? No.
Yes, fishing we do. Hunting not so much, because it's such a hassle to fly with guns legally. You can imagine it's a shit show. If it were easier, yes, for sure. But mostly it's fishing, just when you have some time. I think we take everything we need, that we are fine even without fish. But it's amazing. You are by the river anyways, and you can catch a fresh trout or something. It's amazing. Good food. I love it.
And those guys that they were doing the expedition in Papouasie Nouvelle Guinea in the Pacific, they went, they were crossing all of the river with the kayak, and they stopped, and they were stopped by those guys, those tribes, the Papou. Very dangerous people, those Papou.
That's why.
Cannibals. And they kill you, and they stop them, you know, they had those guns from 1914, from the First World War, you know, those rifles from the First World War. They stopped them. They told them, what are you doing here? You are white people, you come to get, because there's a lot of golds and stones and, you know, like gems and stuff in those mountains, you know, in those places. So they thought that they were the white thieves.
Yes.
So, yeah, and it was so tense, you know. Did you face, for example, when you went to Brazil, you went to the Amazon, I guess, no?
Yeah, that area.
So did you face like the danger like this with the autochthones, you know, some people, whatever, you know, autochthones, people that they want to get some money out of you, you know, and they want to fuck you up, I would say.
Funny enough, in Brazil,
steal your equipment.
In Brazil, no. But what's crazy and what's actually an interesting parallel is, many places I go to the river is where people go who don't want to be found. So, for example, you go to Colombia, you go to the coca plantation because they're by the river. You go to Mexico, you end up with the cartel. I've been to places where the cartel likes to execute people. So, for example, there's a waterfall in Mexico. We kayaked, and it's very well known by the locals that the water there is very turbulent, and the rock is full of holes and stuff. So the cartel is known to be on the bridge and execute people there and throw them in the river. They never appear. We go there one time, we kayak down the river, bam, bam, all good, daytime. We come around the corner, we see two bodies, hands tied to their back, hole in the head, you know. So I had friends who were taken hostage in Colombia by FARC, you know, FARC.
Of course, the FARC, some serious motherfuckers. Similar
situation, some serious motherfuckers, exactly. And they were the same. I mean, I have to say, it worked out all good. They were really just expecting white people in a plastic kayak. They were thinking American spy, something like that. They were carrying cameras. Hey, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you spying on us?
Because I didn't ask you that question earlier, I should have asked you. For how long is an expedition? You know, how long it takes to do an expedition? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I would say in general, let's say from arrival to leaving the country again, somewhere around a month. This is including travel days, because you have to take some time to get to these places. You know, you might land somewhere, take a car, drive for 1, 2, 3 days, then hike for 1, 2, 3 days, be on the water for 4, 5, 6 days. Maybe you need to wait for rain. Maybe you need to wait for rain to stop. So as a rule of thumb, I would say it's 1 month in country, and within that 1 month, it's like 2 weeks on the water, and the other 2 weeks, one in front, one behind, kind of like dealing with the logistics, sorting things out, permits, speaking to the right people. You just can't go to these places, you know. You need to talk to some people sometimes before and just make sure they know that you're there, and then it's okay. But if you don't check, it's bad. I was in Pakistan. I was kayaking on the Indus River there, and there's actually like a mafia type place for wood. And these people are also not to be fucked with, you know, and you need to let them know, hey, there's some people coming through and we don't want none of your business. We're just passing through. And if you don't do that, it can definitely create some problems. But when you do that and you treat them with respect, just human to human, for us, it was okay.